What is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumpd back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, something happened. Something happened off screen, and if you're in my Discord, you guys might know what I'm talking about. Today, we are doing a Pirate Rumble showcase of the Strength team, and namely, the brand new Bartholomew Kuma. So, off screen, I was feeling a little bit lucky, and your boy went in for a couple more multis. And if you haven't seen that shorts, I'll leave a little card at the top of the video or a link in the description for you guys. If you guys do check out the video, don't forget to slap a like on it. Don't forget to slap a like on this video if you are enjoying the PvP showcases. And if you are new, hit that big red subscribe button as well. But I did hop back in for a few more multis. I did really want to try and pick up like a couple of the Pirate Rumble units that I was missing. Namely like Smoker, and then obviously if I could get lucky, get my hands on Kuma and Arlong. And funny enough, I actually managed to get my hands on this particular character. So the first legend Kuma in the game is mine, and I'm pretty chuffed with the summons. The downside to that is this particular character isn't that amazing. In regular play, he's pretty dookie. He's got a fairly passable captain ability, and even in Rumble, he's still not that great. When it comes to Rumble over here on JP, there is no like one team sort of claps everything. The meta is pretty balanced. I do believe that Psy is probably the best color, but with the meta on JP, it's very balanced in the sense that Dex is very good against Quick, Quick is very good against Strength, and Strength is very good against Dex. So in today's video, we will be just decimating a whole bunch of Dex teams and showcasing what the power of Strength can do. Also, another thing that I actually managed to pick up was I actually managed to pick up the new Pirate Festival Arlong, the new rare recruit that came alongside Kuma as well. So not only did we manage to get the new legend, we managed to get the new rare recruit as well. So everything went pretty swimmingly over here on the Japanese side of the game. So with that said, I've got like 5 fights with a couple of different team comps for you guys. The team comp that you do see on screen here is my favorite when we are taking on the Dex team. But otherwise, it is very, very squishy. I do have a comp with utilizing Jack, putting Law in the front lines, utilizing Versace, but then utilizing this particular team that you do see on screen. So with that said, let's dive in. Alright, so the first fight of the video is coming up against a Kizaru, Law, and Queen comp. So for our particular Strength team, we are using Jack in the front lines, and we are utilizing Arlong in the front, as Arlong's very, very good at taking down Dex units. His ability to reduce their speed is very, very nice. Then he can also give an attack buff. But when it comes to the Strength team, the Strength team sort of only really thrives against the Dex team. Now, as I mentioned in the start of the video, this particular team is very reliant on versing Dex. Very similar to how Dex is very reliant on versing Quick, and how Quick is very, very good at taking down Strength. It's kind of like that rock, paper, scissors theory, right? Just because rock beats paper and scissors beats paper doesn't mean paper beats rock. Is that right? Just because rock beats scissors and scissors beats paper doesn't mean that rock is going to beat paper. That's how it goes. So, at the moment over here on JP, the PvP meta balance is very, very good. I do think that Psy is just sort of the best all-round team, where Quick is probably the best attacking team. Like Psy, gives it a very good run for its money, but Int is by far the best defensive team, no question about it. But when we do come up against the Dex team and you are running Strength, if you do have access to stuff like Kuma, if you do have some access to something like the Arlong, you can do a lot of damage. But for the core of the Strength team, Toki is very, very good. Jack's great at giving some defense with his amazing special. As well, he's great tanky passive. And then Kuma can just do stuff like that, like what you saw there. Just output a lot of damage. But the idea of the Strength team is you do want to be very, very fast. And against Dex, it doesn't have too many issues. Let's move on to another fight now. Alright, so moving on to the next fight, we aren't actually using Arlong in the front lines now. We're actually using Law. So if you guys did get lucky enough to pick up Kuma, but you are missing Arlong, don't stress, because Strength still does have a lot of very, very good Pirate Rumble rare recruits. Law in particular is very, very strong, and putting him in the front lines is definitely not a bad option, mainly because he gives you 5 extra HP and a little bit extra defense. He's got a very, very good damage output as well, so it just helps out like taking down the teams a lot quicker. But when it comes to versing the Dex team, obviously Arlong is the man that you really want to be using in the front. But when it comes to the actual Strength team, Law usually finds his way in the front lines, but funny enough, like the one unit that's like the most replaceable on this particular team, if you're fighting something else that isn't the Dex, is actually Kuma himself. even though we do have these new shiny legends, we have this new Pirate Rumble all along, I am not overly impressed with what I've seen from Kuma and the strength team per se. It is very reliant on attack and going through defense, which is great when you do manage to get it to work very, very well against the DEX team, namely. But other than that, it kind of just gets absolutely destroyed by every other team. I really couldn't find a way to make it work, like with Kuma, I should say, to actually take down the Psy team. I do imagine you could probably find a way to make it work against the Ints team, because you can get through all of that massive defense. But once you just sort of start looking at taking on Quick, it's just a no-go when it comes to that. But with the combination of Jack, with the combination and Law, you can actually give yourself a lot of HP, which actually makes like DEX almost impossible to take you out, unless like you don't have your characters rainbowed or cotton candied or anything like that, and the enemy has theirs fully maxed. You're not really going to run into too many issues. Now, as you know with my teams, I don't have everything rainbowed, but everything does have a bit of cotton candy, and all of their Pirate Rumble abilities are maxed, as well as like level 9 specials. So that was the second fight with Law in the front. Let's move on to the next fight now. Alright, so moving on to some more of the fun stuff, we are using Vivi on this particular team. So this is the new strength team, and when you are versing DEX, this particular team moves so damn fast that it's not even funny. With Vivi in the front line, she actually gives us special charge cooldown, as well as extra attack. Now, the downside to using Vivi instead of Jack is we do lose out on all of our HP buff, but when we are talking about the strength team, especially when we are versing DEX, we really want to play to our strengths, and our strengths are attack, attack, attack. So with Vivi, what we can actually do is we can actually get our specials cooldown a little bit quicker. As you can see with Kuma's 10 blowback, we can increase our attack as well. Vivi pops off very, very quickly and can actually special bind units. Now, Dex's biggest weakness is special binding. Besides like Kizaru and Moria, every other character can pretty much be special binded, and it really hinders them quite a bit. Once we've done that, as you can see, we just have Kid coming in, just going through everyone's defense, and just absolutely blitzing it. We can then get Toki coming in after that to give us more special cooldown, and we still do have Kuma special ready to go as well. The upside I did find to Kuma is, when he hits with that 2 times his attack, and he has something like 37 attack, he can just output stupid numbers. The downside is you don't really need that much damage, and it is still very RNG at the end of the day. But as you can see, like, you absolutely wipe the floor with Dex, like an 8-man Dex team. When you are running Vivi in the front, or 7-man Dex team, I should say. And it just works really, really nicely. This particular team con is the fastest, and let's move on to another fight now. Alright, so we got another Dex fight now with Vivi in the front lines once again. This particular team, honestly, is just so much fun. If I ever see a Dex comp, like, floating around, I'm always just going to resort to this particular team, as it actually just gets the job done so much faster than any other team that I've actually seen quite recently over here on Japan. It reminds me a lot of the OG slashes that were running around on Global, where they sort of just like decimated everything in like the first 30 seconds. Well, this particular strength team, if you get enough like blowbacks with Kuma, you can actually pretty much do the same thing. So with Vivi in the front line, just giving that extra attack and giving that special bind, she pretty much always pops her special off in the first like 15 to 20 seconds. This particular team we're coming up against is actually using the new Lucci as well. I will have a new Lucci showcase coming out for you guys in the next couple days or so. Actually, probably the same day that this video goes live, actually, now that I'm really thinking about it. But Lucci's a lot of fun as well, but just, it's funny how they released Lucci for the Dex team, and Dex sort of had their moment in the sun to take down Quick, but now Strength's just come in to sort of just keep Dex in line, while Quick obviously keeps the strength team in line. I have seen a screenshot where like 3 Quick units just absolutely decimate this strength team, and it's actually wild. So unfortunately, Dex and strength, even though they are getting these buffs to help like take down some of these big old high-end teams that are getting buffs as well, they're just not exactly where they need to be as an all-round meta team. And don't get me wrong, that makes it a lot of fun on JP, but at the same time, it makes it very, very hard for most free-to-play players when they are doing team building for PvP. But at the end of the day, PvP is not a free-to-play friendly game mode, and just keep that in mind when you are playing a lot of Pirate Rumble as well. So that was the VV comp. I do have one more comp for you guys before we wrap this video up using Verse Ace. So let's check out the last fight. Alright, so the last fight of the video, we are using Verse Ace in the front lines. Now, Verse Ace gives a lot of extra attack, but honestly, it was probably my least favorite of all of the team comps that I did put together. That VV team comp, like, did wonders, but obviously, if you're not versing Dex, like, you're very, very squishy. So, utilizing Jack and utilizing Law in the front instead will actually help you guys out, especially when you aren't trying to fight, like, mono DEX teams. But very similar to the DEX PvP showcase, the strength team sort of lacks that, or has that same issue, that there's not a lot of DEX characters that kind of pop up in rainbow teams and stuff like that. Very similar to how there's not a lot of quick units that pop up in rainbow teams. I mean, like, Kaido pops around, and he pops up every now and again in some, like, janky teams. But the DEX and the strength team are just, they're way too segregated towards fighting what they're good at. Unlike the quick team that can actually give the Psy and the Int team a run for their money. But in the same sense, like, the Psy and the Int team are just, in my opinion, they're just way more balanced than the 3 primary colors. But in saying that as well, like, you can obviously build the team in a way to take down that particular team. And when it comes to PvP at the end of the day, there is no one team beats all. And there never really has been. Besides that crazy slasher meta that we did have. The quick meta sort of did it for a little while. But that kind of just got overtaken with stuff like really stally defense teams and whatnot as well. But as you can see with this particular team, we did lose our Toki and our Arlong fairly early. With Kid, once you do get Kid special popping off, as long as you have like a nice chunky attack pool, Kid can just sort of board wipe, provided you don't get any like real bad RNG. A couple of times I did get some really bad RNG when I was testing these teams, not against the DEX variation, but Kid would just hit no one, and it would just completely end my run. But there you guys go. That was the Kuma and Strength PvP Showcase. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go in there and belt the like button for me. If you're new to the channel, to hit that big red subscribe button as well. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Lights!